Hello friends, welcome back to our channel. In today's video, I will discuss about the substitution effect. What is substitution effect? Due to the change in the relative prices of one of the commodity, then there is a change in the consumer's equilibrium that is known as the substitution effect. Given the real income remains constant, that is the most important point to be noted here. And I will discuss this with an example. Let us suppose that I have an income of rupees 4, okay, and I have two commodities X and Y. The price of commodity X is rupees 1 and the price of commodity Y is 50 paise. With rupees 4, I can purchase the 2 units of commodity X and 4 units of commodity Y, right? And let us say that this 2, 4, the combination of 2 units of commodity X and 4 units of commodity Y is also the equilibrium for the consumer. Means he gets his maximum satisfaction by spending his rupees or the income on these two commodities in this combination. Okay. Now, what happens if there is a change in the price of one of the commodity here, because we are talking about substitution effect in which we are saying that change in relative prices. So let us change the price of one of the commodity. So commodity X, okay, the price of commodity X is lowered and it is now 50 paise, which is equal to the price of commodity Y. So now what is the change here? Simply the price of commodity X has been changed and now it is 50 paise. And our actual income is same 4 rupees. So we can say that with the help of, if we want to purchase the old combination of commodity X and Y, we can still do that. And we can purchase 2 units of commodity X and 4 units of commodity Y just by spending rupees 3, right? Okay, so we can do that and we will still have our equilibrium attained at the combination of 2 and 4. So what I'm trying to say here, when there is a decrease in the price of one of the commodity, you can still attain your equilibrium, the previous or the original equilibrium, with the amount of money that you have, and still you will be left with some money. In this case, you will have rupees 1 still left. Okay. Now, in this case, the assumption is, the given condition is the real income has to be remain constant. So, you have to make the adjustment for the real income. Means, you had actually 4 rupees and now due to the decrease in the price of the commodity, your actual purchasing power has increased, but you have to make it constant. Okay, so you have to make your purchasing power basically constant. That is why real income has to be remain constant and it should not increase. So we will take away rupees 1 from the consumer and then we will see what happens, how he make his purchasing decision with rupees 3 now. Okay. So to keep the real income constant, take away rupees 1 and leave the consumer with rupees 3 only. Now, again, the consumer has 2 choices. Case 1 is he can go for purchasing the old combination of quantity 2 and 4 of goods X and Y respectively, and he can do so. Okay, and he will have 4 combination equilibrium, or he can switch between the quantities of these 2 goods. Instead of purchasing 2 units of X and 4 units of Y, when the price of X has been lowered, he can now purchase more quantity of X and lesser quantity of Y, and we have a new combination which is 4, 2, and this is the new equilibrium. And this is what is called the substitution effect. Means because of the changes in the relative prices, there is a change in the equilibrium, and this effect is substitution effect. When the real income remains constant, what is happening here? simply the consumer is purchasing more of a product which price has been lowered and less of the product whose price has comparatively become equal, or you can say expensive. Okay, so basically this is what the substitution effect is all about. The change in the relative prices and its effect on consumers' equilibrium when the real income has to be remain constant. Now, there are two approaches or two measures for finding out the consumer's equilibrium in case of substitution effect. These two approaches are given, one by the economist Slutsky, and it is called as Slutsky's measure, and another is given by Hicks, Hicks, and it is called Hicks measure. We will discuss these two measures one by one. So what happens in case of the Slutsky's measure? What he proposes? Slutsky has proposed that when there is a change in the price of one of the commodity, let us say there is a fall in the price of one of the commodity, in this case the consumer will basically move to the higher indifference curve. Okay, and the higher indifference curve represents what? Higher level of satisfaction, and vice versa. When there is a rise in the price of one of the commodity, so his purchasing power will be lower, so he will move to the lower indifference curve. So we will discuss this Slutsky's measure with the help of the graph here. Okay, so let us assume that the original income or the budget line is represented by this curve PL here. Okay, this one P and L, and the original equilibrium in this case was Q. So OM quantity of product X and ON quantity of product Y was the combination, and the indifference curve at the indifference curve IC1. Okay, but there was a decrease in the product in the price of one of the commodity. So what happens? It increases the purchasing power in the hand of the consumer, and that's why the new budget line shifts to PL dash. Okay, but we know that we have to keep the real income constant, so we have to make a bit of an adjustment here. What we have to do, as I have explained in the example, I had to take away 1 rupee, so here also we will take away some of the money from the consumer. This y-axis also represents income line, so we will make an adjustment, and from point P to point G we will lower down the income and take away some income in order to make it constant. Okay, so real income has not increased, and we, with the help of this adjustment, we get point G. So we will draw an imaginary budget line parallel to the what would have been a new budget line, that is PL dash. So we will draw an imaginary budget line which is parallel to PL dash. We get GH represented here with this dotted lines. Okay, because we have to make a little bit adjustment in the price, we have to take away that income, we have to take away little amount of income in order to make the adjustment and keep the real income constant. So we get this budgetary line, imaginary budgetary line GH. So if we look at GH, this GH happens to be tangent with the one of the indifference curve, which is IC2, and which is a higher IC curve than IC1. So this gives us a new equilibrium at point S. Okay, so what is happening here? We can see that the consumer has shifted from this equilibrium Q to the new equilibrium S. Okay, when there was a decrease in the price of one of the commodity. So this is what Slutsky has proposed, that when there is a fall in the price of one of the goods, the consumer will move on to the higher indifference curve and he will be better off. And vice versa, if there is an increase in the price of one of the commodity, then we will have just the opposite of this. We will have a lower level of imaginary budget line, and it will be, of course, coincident or tangent with the lower level of IC curve. So consumer will actually move down because he has lesser amount of money income, so he'll move on down to the lower level of indifference curve. So conclusion is, according to Slutsky's measure, is that when there is increase in the price, there is a lower level of satisfaction, and when there is a decrease in the price of one of the commodity, the consumer will enjoy to purchase at a higher level of indifference curve. He will shift his, of course, he will switch the combination, but combination of the goods will definitely be shift. We can see that there is increase in the quantity for X OM from OM to OK, but there is a decrease in the quantity of commodity Y. Here we can see from ON to OW, so there is a decrease in this commodity and there is an increase in this commodity. So the combination of the goods has been switched, but still this combination is giving higher level of satisfaction to the consumer when there was a fall in the price of the commodity X. So Slutsky says that consumer will either be better off, okay, or worse off when there is a decrease or increase in the relative price given the real income remains constant. Okay, so that is one of the measures of substitution effect. The next is given by J.R. Hicks. In this case, what happens? As per the Hicks proposal or his measure, what Hicks says that it does not matter whether there is increase or decrease in the relative price of any product, the consumer would remain on the same indifference curve. He will only switch between the two products. So the basic okay, first let me explain this, then I will talk about the basic difference. I will again explain the graph first. So here again we have the original, we can say the budget line, this BC1, okay, this original budget line represented by BC1, and the original we can say the equilibrium at point A. Okay, we have this point A as original equilibrium. Here the quantity X1 and Y1 are the original combination, which is giving the maximum satisfaction to the consumer. Again, there is a fall in the price of, let's say, commodity X, I think here, and then we have, due to that, we have a new budget line represented by BC2. Okay, this budget line, but we have to make an adjustment for the price income, and because of that adjustment we have moved the budget line from this point to this, and with the help of this point we draw a line which is parallel to the new budget line. It is parallel to the new budget line. It is an imaginary budget line because we are making an adjustment in the income. We are taking away some income in order to make the income real or constant. So we have a new budget line, okay, which is represented by SC and it is in dotted form. Okay, so we can see the new budget line is tangent with the previous IC curve 11, this, okay, at a new point which is point B. So we get a new equilibrium which gives a newer combination of both the goods. We have lower quantity of X and higher quantity of Y at this equilibrium, but the indifference curve remains same. So this is what Hicks measure proposes, that there will not be any increase or decrease in the level of the satisfaction for the consumer. If we keep the real income real, the consumer will simply switch between the goods. He will move on from the cheaper goods to the expensive one. Okay, because he will think I have more money at my disposal to spend, and this product has become cheaper, so I can buy it at a lesser cost. So whatever remaining money I have, I will buy more of the other product. However, we have kept the real income constant, even then he is spared with more money. So this is an example that this is what I have already discussed in the example of substitution effect, where we saw that there was simply a shift from quantity equilibrium of 2,4, it became 4,2, right? So here we can see that there is a substitution between the cheaper goods for the expensive goods, but the indifference curve remains the same. So there is no increase in the level of the satisfaction, or there will be no decrease as well in the level of the satisfaction for the consumer. Consumer satisfaction will remain unaffected, only he will switch between the two products. So the main takeaway from this substitution effect, if we look at the Slutsky's measure and the Hicks measure, is that while both of them are saying that there will be a new equilibrium and the combination will be different between the goods X and Y, but the indifference curve or the level of satisfaction will also increase or decrease according to Slutsky's measure, but the level of satisfaction will not increase or decrease in case of Hicks proposal. So this is all about the substitution effect. Hope it is clear, and in the next video I will discuss about the price effect, which actually contains both the income effect and the substitution effect, and that is the ultimate thing that we need to derive the demand curve for a consumer as per the indifference analysis. Okay, thank you.